In 1958, a novel was released about America's failure to understand not only other nations, but itself. It was a fictional story that had a very real perception on how Americans were being viewed overseas. The novel was entitled The Ugly American. In 2014, the concept ugly American is still a label placed on us. The opinions of people from all around the world is that America is filled with loud, arrogant, demanding, thoughtless, and ignorant people who lack care for those who aren't like them. Unfortunately, the ugly American is a very real personality that most Americans have. We see these people all around us. They are filled with pride and carrying this disease with them like it's their day job. They see themselves as top priority, and everybody else becomes second. Now, the reason I bring this up to you is because God warns us to turn against becoming an ugly American kind of Christian. Yes, these types of Christians do in fact exist, and the ugly Christian disease can be fatal. Many of you have probably known a believer who had this disease. They walk with pride on their shoulders, feeling like they are the next Messiah just because they did one thing for God. Unfortunately, it hasn't been that hard for me to find an ugly Christian. In fact, all I had to do was step right in front of a mirror. Ooh. There have been more times than I would like to admit where I had the ugly Christian disease, and I'm sure many of you can relate. You know how it is. We get into this routine of doing what we feel is in God's favor, but we're doing what we want. We stop serving for the good of others, and we start doing things that we know will benefit ourselves or make us look good. And isn't it just so easy to fall into this? This lifestyle, this ugly lifestyle of serving ourselves is not what God calls us to live. Instead, he calls us to live a life of serving. In Mark chapter 10, verses 42 through 45, you will find a moment where Jesus is giving insight on a lifestyle of serving that we all should live. Jesus called them together and said, "You know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Or you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be a slave to all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and give his life as a ransom for many." Think about what I just read. Let it sink in. These rulers had the ugly Christian disease. They saw themselves as top priority and wanted everyone to serve them. Now think, have we become them? Have we lived a life that we are just serving ourselves and we're stopped serving to glorify God? Have we let this disease consume us to the point where it kills our humility and feeds our pride? It's time that we start living to glorify God again, to be just like Jesus. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. Let's apply that to our lives today. There are countless things that you can do to serve. Some of them are small, like being a greeter at your door on Sunday, or leading a small group on a weeknight. Some of you may want to go bigger and go on a missions trip. Personal story time. I went on a missions trip once, but taking those steps to go on the missions trip wasn't easy. I didn't want to leave this country because I was afraid. I was so consumed in the thought of serving myself and being in my personal bubble that the thought of stepping out and going somewhere else terrified me. And after many trials and challenges, I decided to take step on foreign ground. And what I can tell you is, because of that moment in Mexico, I found what my calling is in life: to be a children's pastor all around the world. Because of that step of serving others. Honestly, there's something so special about giving up your time and your energy to serve the kingdom of heaven. Let's stop living for ourselves and start living for others. Let's become second.